Should the Washington Commanders consider trading for star quarterback Kyler Murray instead of taking a quarterback at number 2 overall in the 2024 NFL Draft? There's a writer out there that believes that this is a trade waiting in plain sight for the Washington Commanders to go out and execute. I'll give my thoughts on it here during today's edition of the Commanders Report. But before we get into it, make sure you click that subscribe button right now for Commanders breaking news all year round. Whenever the Commanders take a player in the NFL Draft this year, if they trade for somebody, if there's a blockbuster trade like a Kyler Murray deal, we're going to have you guys covered with a breaking news video right here for free on YouTube. So if you love the Washington Commanders, you don't want to miss any of the big additions that the Commanders make this offseason or any offseason, make sure you click that subscribe button right now. So now let's go into this story here because this really perked my interest here, where SB Nation's James Dater says that trading for Kyler Murray makes too much sense for both sides, both for the Commanders and the Arizona Cardinals, and he says that this deal should absolutely be done. Now, he does claim that, Arizona's probably not going to want to do this, and I'll give you guys my thoughts here coming up, but this is why he thinks that this is such a good deal. When you step back and look at both the order as well as the circumstances of each team, there's a glaringly obvious deal waiting to be done. Kyler Murray to the Washington Commanders. It makes so much sense for both teams that it's remarkable. Nobody has really mentioned it up to this point. And that means it's something we could definitely see happen. So let's take a look at his proposed trade idea here. And I actually think in terms of the overall value, it's relatively even. So the Commanders would get Kyler Murray, quarterback, 5 years left on his contract, by the way, and you would get the second first-round pick that the Cardinals currently possess at number 27 overall, and in exchange, the Cardinals get the number 2 pick, presumably to take a quarterback, and then they still have the number 4 overall pick, so they can trade down, they can take a top wide receiver, they can do whatever they want with that number 4 pick, and that really jumpstarts their rebuild there in the desert. So listen, with this trade value and this trade package, that puts Kyler's value at around pick number 4 overall. And for a guy like Kyler Murray, who has been in the conversation for most valuable player in the National Football League before, in Kliff Kingsbury's offense, by the way, I think that's a pretty fair value there, especially because Kyler still has 5 years left on his contract. So you have him locked up for the same amount of years as any quarterback you would take in the top 5 of this year's NFL Draft. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Would you accept this trade to send Kyler Murray to the nation's capital and reunite him with Kliff Kingsbury here at the Burgundy and Gold? Type A if you would accept it, or type D if you're going to decline it. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Now listen, now here is why Dater says that the Cardinals would do this trade. So he fleshes out why he thinks both the Commanders and the Cardinals would accept this trade. Here's his reasoning from the Arizona Cardinals' perspective. It's safe to say that Arizona's relationship with Kyler Murray has been, let's say, lukewarm at best over the last 2 years. There hasn't been a great deal of mutual trust, and despite putting forward a unified front, it's never really felt like Murray is the face of the franchise in the eyes of the Cardinals, or vice versa. Murray is a really good QB in the right system. He was handpicked because of his ability to thrive in a system that is no longer in place, and instead, he's been fine. Part of that is because of the lack of weapons, but Murray also just doesn't look that comfortable changing systems as Arizona has morphed under Jonathan Gannon. Murray is making high-tier franchise QB money in an environment that isn't right for him on both sides. There is absolutely every opportunity for him to return to being a top 10 QB in the NFL with a change of scenery, and that gives him the opportunity. Meanwhile, for Arizona, the plan here would be simple. Rebuild. Truly rebuild. Take Drake May with the number 2 overall pick, draft Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 4, and use the tremendous cap money saved in 2025 and beyond to add to the defense. Now, coming up, why the Commanders would say yes, according to Dater's article here. Some pretty interesting reasons coming up here in just a second. But first, no matter what the Commanders decide to do in the 2024 NFL Draft, the players that they end up drafting will be wearing this hat right here. This is the official Washington Commanders draft hat for the 2024 NFL Draft. So if you want a piece of Commanders history here, and make no mistake, this is going to be a historic Commanders draft class, make sure you go right now to chatsports.com/24DH. I'm going to put the link to that in the comments and description of today's show so you guys can have a chance to get one of these draft hats in your closet today, and also you can own a piece of Commanders history by getting this hat by going to chatsports.com/24DH. So now, Dater explains why the Commanders would say yes according to his deal here. This is what he has to say. Much of the speculation about why the Commanders would take Jaden Daniels over Drake May is predicated on his fit in the Kliff Kingsbury offense, which is still a gamble. Ultimately, you're still hoping a rookie quarterback can develop into what you hope. This team took a significant risk hiring Kingsbury. There's no guarantee any rookie quarterback from the 2024 class would thrive in his system. I disagree with that, by the way. Caleb Williams definitely would. But Murray has proved the concept already. This team doesn't need to whiff on another high pick. Ownership is desperate to turn the page quickly. They want to assert a new era in Washington and create buzz. Landing a surefire quarterback in Murray, who has already shown an ability to thrive in Kingsbury's offense, is the catalyst for a quick turnaround. It's easy to forget that Daniels is an older rookie who will turn 24 during the regular season. Meanwhile, Murray is just 3 years older. It's not like you're giving up the number 2 pick for a veteran rental. You're getting a legitimate franchise QB who could easily play for another 10 years. When you pair Murray with the host of weapons Washington has in McLaurin, Dotson, Eckler, and now Ertz, who played with Murray in Arizona, you have a nucleus that could at least pull itself out of the cellar in the NFC East, which is enough immediately to make fans happy. Instead of taking a QB at number 2 and then sitting until number 36, the Commanders would lock up their quarterback spot and get the number 27 pick to either add much-needed pass rushing help or strengthen their offensive line. And from there, the Commanders have 2 second-round picks he's talking about there to keep doing work. All right, so we've gone over pretty much the entire article here from James Dater. He's had his say. Now it's my turn. What do I think of this potential trade here where that would send Kyler Murray to the Washington Commanders in a move that would shock the NFL world? So listen, I think it's pretty unlikely at this point. The Arizona Cardinals have committed to Kyler publicly multiple times at this point. They have said that he is their franchise quarterback, and honestly, I don't necessarily blame them for going with the guy that's been here for a number of years. He's been an MVP candidate with their football team before, and he is a proven entity, whereas if you trade him away and you draft, say, a Drake May, and listen, man, Drake May's not a perfect prospect. He could end up being a bust, and you might be giving away a legitimate stud quarterback, franchise quarterback, for a guy that ends up busting in the National Football League in Drake May. So you take a look at Kyler Murray just last year, 8 games played, pretty decent numbers. I'm not going to say he lit the world on fire or anything like that, but he did a pretty good job in Drew Petzing's offense last year. First year in a brand new offense. He's never played in the West Coast system before. It's been all air raid stuff from him from high school all the way through his time with Kliff Kingsbury there in Arizona. I thought he did a pretty decent job adjusting to the West Coast system last year, and I think in year 2, he really has an opportunity to play well with the Cardinals under Jonathan Gannon. You take a look at his numbers here over the last several seasons. Last 3 years, he's had trouble staying healthy, all right? So that's another thing to keep in mind if you trade for him, is that he is somebody that has had a little bit of an issue staying healthy. Of course, he had the ACL issue, and as a rushing quarterback, that really prides himself on his ability to make guys miss, evade rushers, all these different things. That ACL issue could still come back to haunt him and the Commanders if they end up trading for him. So listen, man, if he's traded, it's $10 million plus for the Arizona Cardinals and dead cap if they trade him. So, is that really something that you want to do? You want to trade away your franchise quarterback and take on over $10 million in dead cap to bring in an unknown entity in a Drake May or a Jaden Daniels or whoever they would end up taking at number 2? It's certainly a risk. for the Arizona Cardinals. And if I were Arizona, I would stick with Kyler, all right? You know that he's got a great deep ball. You know that he's super accurate with great arm talent. I mean, you know he's a great playmaker outside of the pocket and can make things happen. And he's really good on the run as a passer, so he's going to be able to do all the play-action bootlegs and all the stuff they want to do there in this new West Coast system under new offensive coordinator Drew Petzing, who had his first year there last year. So I think that Arizona wants to keep Kyler. I don't think they're going to want to trade him, so I don't think it's possible for the Commanders to trade for Kyler. However, all right, if I'm the Commanders and the Cardinals call me up and say, hey, do you want Kyler Murray? I am saying yes to that question, all right, because this is somebody that I think is still a really good quarterback in this league. And I know people talk about him playing video games and not being the best leader and being a little bit aloof and all these different things. But on the field, man, we know Kyler Murray works in Kliff Kingsbury's offense, and we know that for a fact. He is a perfect fit for this offense. Great playmaker. Pocket presence is elite. He can evade rushers with ease. Fantastic agility to move around the pocket. He has great feel for the game. And just overall, the arm talent is fantastic. Can throw the ball down the field with accuracy and with touch. And, of course, he's a plus rusher that can be a dynamic threat with his legs. Now, throwing over the middle of the field is his big weakness just because he's so tiny. But he has a lot of different skills at his disposal, and we know those skills work in a Kliff Kingsbury offense, especially when he has legitimate weapons like Terry McLaurin, like Jahan Dotson, like Zach Ertz, like hopefully Austin Eckler's going to be. So he's still an above-average NFL starting quarterback. He is a bona fide franchise QB, and we know Kyler is Kingsbury's guy, all right? This is the guy that almost won an NFL MVP if he didn't get hurt a couple seasons back with the Arizona Cardinals when the Cardinals were the hottest team and hottest offense in football, all right? So I'm not a big fan of Kingsbury's offense. I think it's kind of stagnant. I think it's limited. But with a guy like Kyler Murray, who is a dynamic playmaker and can really make things work in this spread system, I absolutely think he's the perfect quarterback to run the system. He knows the verbiage. He knows how it works. He's played in this system ever since he was playing in high school, all right, essentially. So I think that this is a perfect fit. If Kyler Murray's available, I would absolutely go get him. And the case for a Kyler trade here is why risk things with an unknown entity and a rookie quarterback like a Jaden Daniels or a Drake May that you really don't know is going to be a great fit in this offense. You can speculate. We've done that on the show. I think Jaden Daniels would be the better fit compared to Drake May. At least that's my opinion. But we know for a fact that Kyler Murray can run this offense, especially with good weapons around him. Now, that's not to say that drafting a quarterback is a bad idea, all right? I don't want to make it seem like, oh, they have to go trade for Kyler or else Daniels and May are going to suck. I don't want it to sound like that, all right? Because the case for drafting a rookie is you reset the rookie clock, a rookie QB clock there where you're taking a quarterback that you're not paying anything to for 5 years, all right? And that's extremely valuable in terms of team building, trying to establish a winning culture here. If you get a guy in Jaden Daniels or Drake May or J.J. McCarthy, whoever they take at number 2, and that guy turns into a really good starting quarterback on his rookie contract, then that gives you the opportunity to really build a complete roster capable of competing for Super Bowls in the short term. And that's definitely the case for standing pat and not going for a guy like Kyler Murray, who is expensive, who does have a little bit of an injury history, all these different things. Okay, so you look at his base salary, and you want to know how much he's going to cost next year. It's going to be $37 million in base salary, all right? So that's a lot of money, but that's not like the $50 million that we've been seeing from some of the more recent quarterback contracts, all right? Because the Cardinals are still on the hook for his signing bonus, which is going to decrease the amount of money that the Commanders would have to owe him. And by the way, that base salary goes down every single season. So not only is this guy a franchise quarterback, but he gets less expensive every year after you trade him for. And by the way, still 5 years left on his contract, so he would be with your team locked up as long as any rookie quarterback would be if you take one at number 2 overall. So let me know what you guys would do down there in the comment section. If you could choose one, would you rather draft a rookie at number 2, or would you rather trade the number 2 pick for Kyler Murray and the number 27 overall pick? Type KM for trade for Kyler or DR for draft a rookie. I want to know what you guys are thinking down there in the comment section. So my take on this, guys, is that if I had the chance to get Kyler Murray in a Washington Commanders uniform, I'm taking that chance. I'm taking that deal because he is a fantastic quarterback talent that we know works in this offense. And you guys know I have my concerns about Kliff Kingsbury. Those concerns begin to alleviate a little bit if you can get a Kyler Murray who has already proven he can have success in this system, especially with good weapons, with which the Commanders already have. So I like the Kyler Murray idea here, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section, and make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we're going to have you guys covered with all the latest Commanders draft coverage leading up to the big day in Detroit, all these different things, all the guys that they're meeting with, scouting reports. We're going to have it all for you guys, getting you guys ready for the 2024 NFL Draft. So make sure you click that subscribe button right now. And as always, hail to the Commanders.